Hey, welcome back to Jameson's Repair Shop. Well, we got this done, and I haven't done any of this, so I'm going to set this aside. I haven't done the corner on this yet, so I'm going to set this aside because the next piece in, the inner wheelhouse extension needs work, and also this back panel for near the convertible top brace needs to be done. So I'm going to focus on those two areas right now to get those fixed up, and probably into the wheelhouse, but you'll see that as I move along. But for now, I want to get this off. I'll take this off. It's not welded on, and we'll get working on the inner wheelhouse extension, which is mostly, for the most part, just flange work and cleaned up and make it look pretty again. So that's what we'll be doing in this video. So hang in there and enjoy the ride. All right, we got the panel off, the outer extension off. Now we're heading for the inner extension. I've got it clamped and I scribed where it originally met on the rear panel. So we'll fix this first, and then once we get this established, we can mate it back up with that and fix that. I have to have a reference point somewhere. I have the light shining crossways of my flange that I want to de-spot weld. So there's a lot of spot welds in there, but it won't take long. Just drill them out. I'm not trying to save that flange. And the inner flange, I'm guessing it might need a little work, so we'll see. It has to be rust treated if nothing else. So let me get the spot welds drilled out. We'll get this panel removed and see what we have to do to it. Well, I've got the inner wheelhouse extension off. It's right here. I should show it to you. It's solid. It just needs pretty much just needs new flanges put on. Pretty much all the way around, new flanges. It's a formed piece. I don't know what the replacement parts look like when you get them, but these are actually have a roll to them. So there is shape in them. I don't think there's much. No, it's pretty flat. It just has this roll. So it's flat this way, but rolled this way. And of course, tipped up on the end. So this is going to be a pretty easy one to fix. And it just, again, overlaps right here over top of this wheelhouse. On the inner wheelhouse. So here's what a lot of dirt, as usual, but this is why I'm taking it all apart, because this is what you find underneath all this stuff. Like this flange needs to be replaced as well. It's pretty good up here, really no issues, all the way down. These two pieces are separate. So if this had been totally gone, I could easily pull this piece out and rebuild it. This upper piece, this is in good shape. So I'm not going to worry about doing much with that. I'm just going to clean it up, rust treat it. But I'll put a flange on this because it's solid in places, but it's weak in others, and I chewed it up getting these parts off. Plus, I think, well, it looks, I don't know if that's rusted or not. I can't see, but probably needs, well, once I get all this old undercoat off, so I'm going to dig out my body saw with the blade on it, and I'm going to clean up all this area, clean up all the seam sealer that's on this area and check it all over really well, and fix up this flange and maybe replace the whole thing. Man, it's thin there, so probably going to need pretty easy piece of 19 gauge bent welded in, so it's pretty straightforward. So easy flange to do, so I might as well put a new one on. But I do want to check the next flange in, which I don't know if that actually, where that is on this car. I can't tell. But anyway, I'm wasting time here now. So I'm going to clean up the area a bit. Do a little more investigating. And get this fixed up. That fixed up. And I'm going to take that the exhaust bracket off right there. Alright. So that's what I'm up to. All right, there we go. Got it cleaned up some. I've just been wire wheeling it a bit. Haven't got much done. Took me longer to find the grinder with the wire wheel on it than it did to do the work. Anyway, that's what I use, just as a DeWalt wire wheel. It's good for 20,000 RPMs. The knotted ones. I like the knotted ones because they don't throw the strands quite as bad. But they still throw a few, but not as bad as the straight ones. Now, so getting back to the work at hand, when I use my body saw with the blade on it, I poked a few holes through there, so obviously there's some weak spots there. So this piece here, yeah, it's going to need a little bit of attention. It's okay, very simple fix there. Get these screws out, and there's a couple of harness clips there. I believe those were probably harness clips or something, I'm not sure what they were. Pretty much chewed up now, whatever they were. So, there's lots of work to be done. Easy stuff though. Alright, we got this piece out on the operating table. So now I'm going to rebuild the flanges, but first I want to clean it up. I want to get rid of the rust, or as much of the rust as I can, get rid of this old seam sealer and stuff that's stuck to it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to degrease it, and then I'll start putting flanges back on it. So that's the plan for this piece. Alright, I've got a flange made, and I laid it over this. I took the old flange off. This is the outer side of this. So with the flange off, I was able to put the new flange right here where the old flange was. Because this has to be fairly accurate. It has to fit in a specific spot, so you can't just monkey it together. So what I'm going to do now is just tack it on, and then continue to go and get this piece extended up. So once I get it tacked on up as far as I can get it, I can move the clamps and go from there. So let's go for it. There we go. I welded it on both sides, and I just put it over this sawhorse, and because it's nice and flat, it was a flat. This side will be a little different because it's got a little bit of a curve to it. But on this side, I went crazy on the welding. I just put the heat rate to it, and then I went over it with the hammer and hit all the welds. So it seems to be pretty good. Doesn't look to be warped or anything, so that's nice. Probably was until I started hitting it, but it was still pretty hot. So I got it stretched back out to where it needed to be. So this up here, and this piece here needs to be cut somewhere around there. This is pretty good here, I think, as far as I know. And then I have to put a top piece on that, like probably from about here to about there. I'll measure what overlapped, and I'll give myself a little extra, and then do this flange here. It's coming. All right, we continue on with it. All right, I've got her another flange made. This flange here, it had to be rolled a little bit to fit in. So I cut the old flange off, so this one will come right where the old one was. And I got this metal formed to fit. I did it on the brake. I just put it in the brake and I just kept bumping it to get this shape in it. So that went well. But then I was thinking about this piece here, and I cleaned it up with a wire wheel and everything, and it was like, stupid. How come I just didn't put it in the blast cabinet and do it right? So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to get it in the blast cabinet because it fits in there, and then I'll clean all the rust off of it, top and bottom. Then it'll be just like brand new again. And then I'll weld this piece on, like so, like that. And then when I get it on here, I'll bring it up and finish up in here. I'll have to make another piece. But this is flat now, so it's just a matter, once I get past this roll and tip it up, it'll just be flat. So that's what I'm going to do. There now. Oh, get your back to it. All right, that's done. Get that out of the way. Got it down. I've got it all blasted with aluminum oxide. It did reveal there's probably about a half a dozen holes in this in different places, but they're only like rusted right there, isolated, just like a divot. The rest, it's only just the size of these holes, and the rest is solid metal. So it's like water or something was sitting on them and just continued to rot. Well, I can show you. Maybe you can see it. So these little divots, and if I just drill them out, I can fix them. That one's not even one right there. So I'm going to still continue on with this panel because I've already started it, but yeah, that revealed a little bit more. So now I'm just getting ready to get this back in line again. Just getting ready to cut it in, but I have to get this back because I went and moved it. Yeah, maybe a little tighter would be better. Trying to leave room so I can run the grinder along there. It's about right. All right, so if I take the grinder now and just cut it in, I'll tack it now first, and then I'll cut it in. So let me get that done. And once that cutting is done, I'll weld it up like the other side and start grinding it off. You get the idea. I'll continue on with this. There now, she's all burnt in. That, except for now I have to do a flat piece with a flange on it up here, and then I have to put this end on. And there's still a little work to do on this flange. So, but that's pretty good. After I gave it a lot of heat, I welded it on both sides. It warped. It rolled this down in, but I took my piece of rail track and I set it on top, and I went over it with the hammer to relax all that weld, and it straightened out. I just had a little bit of tapping here, but for the most part, she straightened right back out again. That's the advantage of having the part off the car. You can give it a lot more heat and straighten out the mess after. And it wasn't really a mess, it just rolled. But that's okay, we're good. Plus there's a lot of shape here, right close to it. Alright, so I'll continue on with it. Alright, working in that new piece. I've got all those little holes fixed. And now I'm just trying to get this, finger of the way, so it'll focus up in that corner that you can see that's not finished. And I've been working on this corner right here. It takes a little bit of finessing. You know, you're trying to get it all in as close as you can to the original. So I've got it marked off to trim that off some. This piece here goes down, and then it just tips up and fits on the back of the wheelhouse. All right, there now. I got her in. She's sitting not bad. I got her in place. It's going to need a little bit of piece of metal put on up in this corner. That's fine. This needs to be broke a little bit more. This actually wraps a little bit, so I'll wrap that around. But and I notice here this little bend, you can't see it probably right so much there, but it's not lining up perfect, but I can manipulate that with the hammer just to move that around. It's just a little too sharp. It just needs to be more subtle than that. And then a lot of grinding. Oh man, the grinding. So anybody that's new to this channel, I just want to let you know this is 18 gauge. I weld both sides when I can. So there's a lot of grinding. Now it's not going to be a perfect grind. This is all going to be covered. This will be all covered with seam sealer all the way up through there, all around. This will not be. So I'd like to get it nice. And even this one here probably, I'd like to get it looking pretty decent. All those spots I want to get looking nice. But this will have trunk mat in it as well. These cars were completely covered all over. So still, you want to do is, you want to do it pretty decent. Back here, get through the little hole if I can. So there's the old scribe line right there that I had. So I can bring that up. So that's all fitting pretty good. Fitting nice and tight. Maybe a little too tight, but that flange can be, this flange needs to be redone, so I have to put a new flange on anyway. It has to come in, like this all has to come in, so that flange may have to step back. I may have to, when I put it on, I think I'm going to have to step back the thickness of the 18 gauge, just to give it more room to align here. So these are the important things, because you want this to line up nicely. So there's that. This will have to be trimmed off and matched all along. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll get a line of sight on here with this flange and out to here, right there. And then I'll just bring it all in some when I put the new flange on. And then I have to fix that. And of course there's a few holes through here. And this flange needs work. And up there, like I said. All right, back on it. Oh, before I get going. This here, behind this bracket, is actually the shape of the inner wheelhouse, or the wheelhouse extension rather, and I can show you on the other one. If you can see it, you can see how it comes up and around. So that's, ooh, where we are. So that's not a straight push straight across. It actually is formed with the shape of that wheelhouse extension. All right, I've got her ground up. She's all ground, not pretty, but it's ground. So I see quite a bit of warpage in it. Like not quite a bit, but there is some warpage. So I want to just run it through the English wheel a bit to straighten it out some. Just give it a quick run. I'm about midway on the radius or the crown of the wheel I'm using. Maybe a little strong, but I can keep an eye on it. So I'm going to give her a little tight. See how she goes. Floor is pretty uneven sitting here, so it may bounce around some. I'll keep my foot on it, it's not bad. Anyway, I think that's doing well. Brought that right back up. It's not pretty. It doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to be solid. So anyway, I'm going to continue on with it, and I'll get back to you when it's all done. Alright, that's about as far as I can go with this for now. There's still, like, until I fix this area here, and I get this done here, and I get this rear panel fixed, and the flange on this, and this work in here done, I'm going to leave this panel, I'm going to prime it, and then I'm going to leave it for now. Because this flange is, like I said, I made this a little bit long when I put the end on. Now I could trim it back up here, and adjust it, but then it won't fit here properly. So I'm just going to take, since this flange has to come off anyway to be rebuilt, I'm just going to wait until I get this panel done and then fit this in. And I think that's the approach I'm going to take. And this flange here is gone, so it needs to be done. Look at the welds. A big gob of weld there. It's like the one I took off there and up front. Anyway, no big deal. That's how they built them, and they cover them with seam sealer. And that's what we're going to do here. All right, so that's it. That's that piece made. or rebuilt rather. It's not made, I rebuilt it for all I can do right now until I do some fitting. So I'm going to say thank you for everyone that watched this episode, and I really appreciate the followers I have. It's really great. I'm gaining ground all the time, over 600 subscribers now, and I really appreciate all that. And so just thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one.